Hello again, everybody, and welcome inside OH Report, world headquarters in Mansfield, Ohio. I'm Travis, he's Hayden, and we're back with the statistical high school football leaders through week 9 of the season for passing, rushing, receiving. And Hayden, I want to give a shout out to all the coaches and staff throughout the area. We actually have every stat in that we needed this week, so we have an actual comprehensive list of the top 10 passing, rushing, and receiving. So let's get right into it, Hayden. Let's start off with passing, where Marshall Shepard from Shelby has number 1 all but locked up. But after that, things get interesting. Names have been moving.
Yeah, one name that has been moving is Caden Shadone of the River Valley Vikings. He's someone who's been consistent this year with 58% completion percentage. He has 2,548 yards, 21 touchdowns. Not the season they've been hoping for, River Valley, but they have a nice quarterback. And then we're going to move down to West Holmes, Noah Clark. He's another guy who's been getting it done this year. 124 of 186, 2,049 yards. 21 touchdowns, and a 67% completion rate. So he's been really a big part of West Holmes' success this year, and I know that they are not looking to be done yet. So looking to go 10-0, Trav.
Yeah, they got a big one against Mount Vernon coming up that can lock up 10-0. Not only that, but probably 2 home games in the playoffs. Also want to give a shout-out to Drew Becker from Worcester. He's there at number 4 with 2,136 yards. And then we still have our movement down at the bottom. Kobe Allen making it back onto the list, and other players. So, week 10, we'll have our final update next week, but we'll see who can stay at the bottom there and who can move up to maybe that number 2 spot, since number 1's already locked up. Moving on to the receiving numbers, where once again, Blaine Bowman overtakes Andre Hill. They've been switching back and forth between 1 and 2 for the last couple of weeks. Then you have Carson Lang from River Valley, but this doesn't have as much movement as the quarterbacks, but there is still some movement in the receiving ranks.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but one guy I'm going to jump down at number 6 and talk about is Wesley Stokes for the Marion Harding Presidents. Talked about his quarterback Brady Wink last week, so oftentimes there's a receiver on that other end. He's someone that has 31 receptions for 720 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 23.2 yards per catch. So Wesley Stokes getting it done for the Presidents. And then I'm going to jump down and talk about Worcester General's Micah Mckee making his debut on the list. 46 receptions, 711 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 15.5 yards per catch. So Worcester having some success, a little bit scrappy this year, but he's someone who's been definitely helping them out.
And having some new numbers, some new names jump into this list. You have Paul Butterman, who was up at number 3, I believe, to start the year. He's all the way down at 10. He's still holding on. Zach Schieffer from Upper Sandusky's dropped out barely, and Jake Jarrett from Western Reserve. So you have those names probably fighting for that number 10 spot. Affiliator from Winford still sitting at 9. McKee there at 8. You have Metzger moving up 1 to number 7. And then, like you said, Stokes. So, it's going to be interesting to see number 1 and 2. Who's going to take the receiving title between Bowman and Hill? Because there's 9 yards separated between each other, and it seems like Shepard just targets one or the other each week. So that's going to be fun to see what happens against Clear Fork coming up on Friday. But those are your receiving leaders. Now, finally, moving on to the rushing numbers, where Dane Nahman, once again, staying at the top, right behind Lincoln Mollenkoff at number 2. He's getting closer. It's 1975 to 1916, but we'll see if he can finally overtake Nahman, who's been at the top since week 1, or if he can, stay there after their game against Northmore. But let's discuss the rushing leaders.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a chance to talk about Dane Nahman, our leader. As you said, he has 1,975 yards on the year on 191 carries, 20 touchdowns, and 10.3 yards per carry. So he's someone who's really been doing a good job. But as you mentioned, you do have Mollenkoff sneaking up on him. So we'll see how the Highland Fighting Scott does in week 10 and if he's able to hold on to that title. And then I'm going to jump down, and we're going to show you some moving pictures of Crestview's Connor Morse sitting at number 3. Doesn't look like he's going to have enough time to potentially catch the leader, but he has 214 carries, 1,465 yards, 26 touchdowns on the year, and has been a massive part alongside Hayden Kuhn of why Crestview has been able to do what they're doing this year. And Connor Morse, he's a straight ball player, so good to see what they're doing in a competitive race at the top of our rushing leaders.
Yeah, and Connor Morse, another stud running back for a team that's looking to go 10-0. If they can knock off Mapleton, they'll probably get 2 home games as well for Crestview, and it's going to be mostly because of him and the passing game. They're more of a balanced squad as well, so we got to give a shout-out to the passing and receiving cores there and, well, the whole team because the line's been doing phenomenal to allow Morse to really get into the open. But number 4, Max Lauer. Once again, we have a top 5 matchup. Nahman traveling to the Castle to face Max Lauer and the Golden Knights, who are coming off their first loss of the season. That's for the KMAC Championship. Who can share it? Or if East Knox, loses, one of these 2 teams will get an outright championship. Carson Berry moving back up. He's at 6. Isaac Roeder of Monroeville is at 7. Gavin Hargis stays in the top 10 for Seneca East at 8. Hanif Donaldson, he is at 9th. And then Chase Sparks, despite having one less game, they had the bye week, but he's back up here for Plymouth. So Plymouth also looking to get a playoff spot coming up if they can get a win in week number 10. But that will do it for now. Your passing, rushing, and receiving numbers through week 9. One more week to go. We'll have our champions in our next day update next week. But for now, make sure to stay tuned on Friday night. The Pigskin, as always, 11:30. We'll have breakdown from 9 games, I believe 9 highlighted in live games. We'll have scores from all around the area. I'll have some playoff talk like I did last week. We'll see who's clinched spots, who needs to wait it out, things like that. But make sure to tune in Friday at 11:30. But for now, he's Hayden. I'm Travis, and we out.